Today, it's all out war as we take a look at the campaigns from two of last year's giants, Battlefield 3 and Modern Warfare 3. We also have for you another driving rig. This one is created by the team at Red Bull. We go through some Spec Ops, the line multiplayer, and a lot more. Today, we come to you from Straight Games, downstairs in the Sovereign Center. I'm your host, Kana, and you've just entered the lab. First up, we review Battlefield 3 for the PS3.
Battlefield 3, one of those games that are still sadly underrated. To Battlefield fans, it's one of the greatest first-person shooters to date, but unfortunately to most others it's still lurking in Call of Duty's shadows.
There's no way.
Well, it's time to be objective and unbiased, so here we go.
Fine.
In this review, we'll be focusing on the campaign aspect of Battlefield 3. For more on our opinions regarding the multiplayer component, check out past and future sections of our lobby. I've never played Battlefield 1 or 2, but from what I've heard, they were all about the multiplayer. Now with this installment, Battlefield 3, we have a campaign.
Good morning, Sergeant Blackburn.
When are you going to tell me what's going on?
The story follows Sergeant Blackburn and Dmitry Mayakovsky. This takes place in the year 2014 as we watch an ongoing interrogation take place and participate in what I'd like to call flashback missions, until the flashbacks end and we begin to experience the present day scenarios. Unfortunately, I have to point out the similarities between this experience and the one we had in Black Ops. And other than the fact that this wasn't anything near an original story, it was also a bit ho-hum, with a little above average B-movie dialogue.
What you're going to do is help us clarify the attack scenario. Your cooperation might even get you free of the world of crap you currently inhabit.
So while it wasn't a bad story and served its purpose in the overall progression of the campaign, it was still pretty forgettable. In the gameplay department, here are my ups and downs. Weapon selection. Nothing we haven't seen before, but still good. The weapons feel good, they offer great accuracy without the use of an aim assist and pretty much work like you would generally expect and want them to. We're presented with a generous checkpoint system again, one I've grown to know and love. That's always a good thing. The audio all around is good as with most A-list titles released. I did say the dialogue was a bit B-movie, but still good. I mean, hey, not all B-movies are bad. No, the audio sync for the characters and the cutscenes were also done noticeably well. Really tight, made the story even more convincing.
That's a nice story. I don't see how it connects.
What, do I gotta draw you a map? Al Fisher was never there. That's why you went in.
Something I mentioned back in a previous lobby, the ability to run and reload. I'll always point this out and give a thumbs up for it. A lot of folks say Battlefield 3 is a Call of Duty clone. Well, whether it is or not, the guys over by the Call of Duty camp could certainly take a page out of DICE's books on this one. And the fact that in Battlefield 3 these guys clear obstacles like real soldiers. Not like the guys in Call of Duty who climb over obstacles like a pregnant woman with a broken leg.
Frost, get on Overwatch!
On the subject of vaulting over obstacles, that's another thing I like about Battlefield 3, the animations, from clearing obstacles to getting up to moving while prone. Well done. Although I have yet to understand how either Battlefield 3 or Call of Duty actually justify moving while prone and reloading at the same time. But that's okay, that's one of those video game inconsistencies that serve to aid and not hinder. So I'll work with it. I've also mentioned in our multiplayer section before the knife button, a much preferred placement decision. The graphics in Battlefield 3 now are definitely subject to scrutiny. I was really disappointed when I first put this game in. I read before buying that on the Xbox you had to reserve a decent chunk of space to install some graphics add-ons to see the true quality of the game. But I believe that even on the PS3 we're still shortchanged. I've also read where some DICE reps said the Frostbite engine wasn't able to show its full power on a console. So I guess real top-end PC players know what this game should really look like. But my take on this is this. Why is it that Call of Duty devs are able to use a graphics engine that looks great on both the PS3 and 360 plus the PC, but DICE's Frostbite engine can't? I'm sure there's some really great technical explanation somewhere, especially if a true diehard Battlefield 3 fan sees this review. Well, feel free to share, but the graphics in Battlefield 3 are still good though, just noticeably less polished than Modern Warfare 3.
No, Steve, look, I'm sorry, but that is completely unreasonable.
Again, your squad's AI not perfect, but much better than the clones in just about every Call of Duty game. These guys do give some decent assist.
Back. Order out. Go!
The difficulty level is a bit tougher than some other first-person shooters I've played. Not a walk in the park like, let's say, Medal of Honor, but it's still tolerable. I've played on the hardest difficulty and was still able to beat the campaign in 3 sittings. The lack of campaign co-op is unfortunate, but you're given a Spec Ops type co-op mode where you and a friend can go do a horde mode type thing or a missions based co-op thing, but it's still not really campaign co-op. Very similar to the modes you see thrown into games like Medal of Honor and Modern Warfare. Some of the really bad things about Battlefield 3 are things like these though. The load times between deaths seems a bit longer than I'm used to. It seems really long actually, and that's a really bad time for a slowdown. After being killed, you really don't want a reason to quit. You want to get right back in the fight. Then there's no cover system, not even a lean out like we have in Medal of Honor. Now, why can't devs just understand the importance of this feature? To me, it's a given. Now another thing, this is the first game in a long time to hang up on me. This game hangs quite a bit actually. You'll be playing or at a menu and the game just freezes, or gets stuck at a loading screen. And today when a game freezes I have to worry, because since this generation of consoles, the only time I really experience a freeze is a precursor to a red or yellow light of death, so it's never a good feeling when I see that happen. The last thing would be the destructible environments. Why do I mention this as a bad thing? Well, here's why. Over the history of Battlefield, we've always heard about these great destructible environments. It's supposed to be a good thing, yes, but here's my problem with it. You can cause walls and buildings to crumble, especially good for exposing or destroying enemies behind cover, but here's the thing. With all this going on, there's still some basic things in the game that can't be destroyed. So you'll have it in mind that, well, since we're doing this destructible environments thing, I can shoot through anything to hit someone behind cover, but realize that this is subject to some really silly conditions. Anyway, with all that said, Battlefield 3 is still a good game. Not to mention its multiplayer element, which we go over time and time again in the lobby. So, with all the ups and a few downs, the lab gives Battlefield 3 a 7 out of 10.
That means something?
After the break, we take a look at Red Bull's GT5 simulator, plus a detailed review of Modern Warfare 3's campaign mode and more. Red Bull recently launched their Gran Turismo 5 competition. We were on spot to check out their racing rig. Take a look.
Well, basically we're here today for the Red Bull Gran Turismo driving simulator launch. Red Bull will be having a few competitions across the island where fans will be able to come. They'll be able to go to certain venues that Red Bull will identify, and they'll be able to participate in competitions to see who can run the fastest times in the simulator. So we're basically here today. It's a bit of a launch event, show the media, show the fans what the simulator is all about. Basically what Red Bull is trying to do is replicate the experience of driving one of the fastest cars in the world. It's one of the most popular racing cars in the world, and we at the Acropolis have teamed with Red Bull. It's a good initiative, it's a creative initiative. You know, Red Bull is all about doing things new and exciting, and it was good for us to participate, the team with them for such an event. Basically, we have a huge Formula 1 following here at the Acropolis. They come to the Acropolis to watch the Formula 1 races here, and it's a good synergy with us, between us and Red Bull, in that a lot of the Formula 1 fans enjoy driving in the simulator. They enjoy playing the Gran Turismo game. The car is featured in the Gran Turismo game, and so it's a good opportunity for us to just give the patrons in the Acropolis, the racing fans, and of course the consumers of the Red Bull product something to do, something to engage in here at the Acropolis. So we're looking forward to it. This is the kickoff, and of course, as I mentioned, we'll be having a few other events at different points across the country. They'll be going to Mobay, they'll be coming back to Kingston, they'll be going to Ocean Race, I believe, and so fans from all across the country will have a chance to participate, jump in the simulator, test their driving skills. It's a great experience, it's a great vibe, and we're just glad to be a part of the kickoff right here at the Acropolis.
I just tried out a little simulation for the Red Bull driving. Yeah, in terms of the whole driving aspect of it, not really a driver, but I wouldn't say the simulation was unfair. It's a real life kind of situation. Takes a bit of getting used to. You won't get it on the first go. Can trust me on that. You're not going to get it on the first go.
It's pretty good in comparison to real driving. You can't really compare it to going to 250 miles per hour on a track to, in Jamaican roads, but it's pretty decent. The controls are pretty realistic. Traction, everything, friction on the ground. It's a pretty good game. It's a pretty good game to have to come and try out at Acropolis.
To most first-person shooter fans, this is the king of them all. Here is our review of Modern Warfare 3 for the 360.
The third installment in the Modern Warfare series. How does it stack up? The story of Modern Warfare 3 follows up right after the events of Modern Warfare 2, hours after killing General Shepard. Modern Warfare 3 takes you on the final journey to ending the hunt for Makarov.
I'm coming for you, Makarov.
The story is played out well, and even though many criticize the story of Modern Warfare 3, I think it's real good. Masterfully executed for what it is. I could ask for no more from a story in the action genre. And unlike stories from the campaigns of Battlefield 3 and games like Medal of Honor, I actually felt connected to the characters and the overall story. When guys like Campo dies in Battlefield 3, it didn't faze me one bit. But when Soap died, well, I kind of felt it. Yeah, much deeper story.
Tell me, Bryce, how long did it take him to die?
The graphics in Modern Warfare 3 are as good as they get, at least on a console. I saw nothing to complain about and I expected nothing less from this finale. At least I hope it's the finale. Then we have the controls, as smooth as they get. There are certain things the Call of Duty franchise has gotten right, and the controls are one of them. A few pointers could have been taken from Battlefield 3, but then no game is perfect.
Then we just have to kick in the front door. Tell Nikolai to ready his men.
Now, on gameplay, now remember, we're talking about the campaign here. Check out back or future episodes in the lobby to get our take on the multiplayer. The way the stages are designed in Modern Warfare 3 grabs you and keeps you hooked till the very end. There are no dull moments in Modern Warfare 3's campaign, not one single one. This game keeps you immersed with this action movie style gameplay. Each stage is a memorable experience.
Access code Black Viking. Get me a secure line to Asset Metal 01.
The voice acting as usual is top notch, 100% A-list. This again helps keep you immersed. It's what we've grown accustomed to from these Call of Duty titles. And other than the dialogue, the overall audio is as expected, spot on.
We're compromised! Moving across the street!
The weapon selection, much like Battlefield 3, is also ideal. Nothing missing from this arsenal and they all work how we'd expect them to. Checkpoints again are generously distributed. Never a moment when you die and end up way back. Let's talk the duration of the stages and the entire game. Now I got this game the same week it was released, but I went straight to the multiplayer and never visited the campaign until I reached level 80. I heard a lot of remarks being made about how short this game was, that it was the shortest in the series. Now I never really timed myself while playing any of these games, and when the end credits rolled I was completely satisfied. So I had no problems with its duration. As a matter of fact, I completed it in my usual time for games like this. 3 sittings. Yeah, 3 or 4 sittings is all it usually takes to complete a first-person shooter or survival horror action-adventure game. So, I didn't see the big deal with the game's duration. Maybe that's just how I like them. Short and sweet. The difficulty level set on the hardest seemed easier than previous installments though. The campaign was a real breeze, but nothing I see the need to complain about. The Special Ops mode adds a bit more longevity to the experience if that's your kind of thing, but I'd much prefer the Special Ops mode replaced with a real co-op campaign. This pick your stage horde mode style experience is really no replacement for a solid co-op campaign. The things in my humble or not so humble opinion that keeps this game from being a perfect 10 are these. I know different people have different problems with the entire franchise, but these are the things that stand out for me, always have and always will. First, no cover of any kind, unless you consider strafing in and out a cover system. This is so unbelievably bad for me. I'll never understand why, for a game that seems to pay so much attention to detail, would omit something like this. Is it that I'm the only gamer in the world complaining about this, so therefore majority vote rules? And then, there's your squad's AI, or lack thereof. This is like a Call of Duty signature. Your squad members talk a good talk, but that's about it.
Target building in sight. Watch the crossfire.
And this again is so very noticeable because the overall game is so good, you know, it's so detailed. I won't use the word realistic, but I think it's safe to say the devs over the years have made significant efforts to pay attention to certain details, and this just never seems to improve. The AI is just always bad. Then there's the whole run and reload thing. This coupled with the fact that you can't run and shoot at the same time is probably another thing that I'm alone on. But alone or not, this has to be the dumbest crap I've ever seen. Okay, maybe not the dumbest, because you know, we've seen a lot of crap in video games. But this is pretty bad. I've touched on this before in the lobby, but as long as devs keep doing garbage like this, I'll be that angry gamer spewing flames. Am I really the only person who has a problem with this though? Is it that most people get so caught up in the bells and whistles of these flashy games that they completely miss these shortcomings? Or do some of us just cast a blind eye? This goes back to the level of detail devs put in games like Call of Duty and Battlefield. How can this happen during development? At what meeting do devs conclude that it makes sense for a trained soldier to not know how to run and shoot or reload at the same time? What? Did the devs think this would give you some kind of unfair advantage? Look, if you want to talk unfair advantages, then address crap like the amount of body shots it takes in regular matches to take a guy out. I could go on forever about some of the things I would trade for a run and gun system, but I won't. Let's leave it at this. Modern Warfare 3, another great game in the history of video games, and just like Battlefield 3, it did some things wrong, but it did a lot right. The lab gives Modern Warfare 3 an 8 out of 10.
Athena is still with us. Weapons tight, and don't throw any shots.
Stick around. After the break, we check out the results of our latest poll. We also go through a bit of the multiplayer in Spec Ops: The Line. We caught up with Davil on the set of his latest music video to find out what he's playing.
Video game and the whole movement of the video game world is massive, yeah, and I don't have no qualms for tell a boy say me into the thing. Video game are my thing, yeah. My girl will tell you so more time me and her cuss and fight over them something enough time, cause more time I spend a whole day I play like one game I try to beat it, you know what I mean? You know the thing go. She thinks I waste time. That she have to say, oh, you're wasting time playing video games and one bag of something, but I might have something that she have to understand that. Any woman who can develop understands the video game, not the thing. It's a part of the deal. Favorite genre of games right now is sports and action, like shooter. You know what I mean? Where you was that individual who is in control of everything. You feel me? I love sports. Because I'm a sports fanatic from morning. I love like soccer, you know what I mean, NFL, football, basketball, and them something there. I might think that I love like the Grand Theft Auto, you know what I mean, the war game them, you know what I mean, and them something there. I'm into that. If anybody asks me at any point in time, you know, where them can find me, on any given day trying to, you know, like kill some time. You can find me in my yard sometime around my Xbox or my PS3. The lab, that's the thing go.
You know, I've always been a Call of Duty fan, but as we have said on this show many times before, releasing a new title every year just can't be healthy. Now with Black Ops 2 on the way, we can only hope for the best. But with the previews I've seen so far, I've been given no reason to write home. Check out this preview of Black Ops 2 and form your own conclusions though.
Aside from the fact that I'm still alive.
Okay, on November the 13th, Treyarch will be releasing Black Ops 2. It'll be available on the PS3, 360 and the PC. I suspect we might even see a Wii U version, I don't know. I don't see why not. Now the story of Black Ops 2 will span generations apparently, which would explain the major part of the trailers I've seen that turns me off. That cross between Halo and Killzone look. You know, I have to assume that Treyarch knows what they're doing, but in my eyes, I see devs grabbing at straws to milk an already milked franchise. But I'm sure by release, millions of copies will be sold regardless. Then you'll have many gamers writing blogs and reviews voicing their displeasure with the franchise, but they went out and bought the game anyway and they'll buy it again next year. Meanwhile, the way I see it is, I keep pretty low expectations generally anyway. So I'm never all wound up and then disappointed at launch. I think Black Ops 2 will be a good game, just not a great game. The Call of Duty franchise in general, in my opinion, has lost that bit of greatness they had with games like Modern Warfare 1 and 2. You just can't keep reinventing the wheel, but let's see what Treyarch has in store for us in November. One thing I'm really curious about, and have been since the announcement of Modern Warfare 3, is what's next for the guys over at Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer. Will we finally get a break from Call of Duty? Will these guys take the much needed time to get back to the drawing board? Well, maybe not. I mean, the game sells regardless.
Today in the lobby, we check out some multiplayer in the recently released Spec Ops: The Line.
Spec Ops, look out for a full review of the campaign in the next episode. Today though, we begin to dissect the multiplayer. Let's start with my favorite multiplayer mode, Team Deathmatch. Actually, my favorite is Hardcore Team Deathmatch, but whatever, not every dev plays by those rules.
Team Deathmatch, go!
Okay, so I'm pretty new to Spec Ops, but I was able to fit in real fast. The controls aren't anything groundbreaking, so I was able to easily pick up and play. What I first noticed was bullet damage. I was worried for a second because this game feels a bit similar to Gears of War. I thought it might be a similar situation where you spend an entire magazine trying to take out one person, but no, not the case here. The controls at first were a bit iffy, similar to what we're accustomed to in third-person cover-based shooters, but still a bit odd. First I noticed that, unlike Gears of War, I don't need to hold down the sprint button to keep running. As a matter of fact, it's not advised, as you might end up clinging to a wall in mid-run as the run and cover button are the same. The controls also feel a bit sluggish, not nearly as smooth as Gears of War or, say, Uncharted. It also seems I can't go prone. That, no, was unexpected. Nah, maybe I missed something. I'll give you an update if I figure something out. But I really think you can't go prone, and that's just ridiculous. I see they've adapted to the whole perk system. Now this is fine. I like the ability to upgrade more than just my guns but my players' attributes as well, and it's not as in your face and overdone as Call of Duty, where, you know, everything is a perk. Where kill streaks are concerned, I haven't seen any rewards other than some experience points, but then maybe I haven't had a long enough kill streak. I think my highest streak was like 7 or 8. If you ever noticed in multiplayer matches, the actual graphics of the game actually falls down 1 or 2 notches. Well, there's a major drop in Spec Ops: The Line. It actually looks really bad, at least on the 360 version. That can be a bit of a deterrent to the graphic fanatics, you know? Then there's a ridiculously long wait between matches. No, it's not just me being impatient. The wait in the lobby is ridiculous. Overall though, so far so good. The multiplayer in Spec Ops is decent. Nothing groundbreaking. They took a bit from this game, a little bit from that game, but that's okay. I don't need the next big thing from every game I buy. And I'm always looking for a new enjoyable multiplayer experience anyway. So, I'd advise anyone to go pick this up, even as a rental, to test the waters first. So, until next time, thanks for playing.
Before we go, let's check out a bit of fan mail from our viewers.
First, the results of our online poll. Our question was, which shooter was your favorite from 2011? We had as options Modern Warfare 3, Battlefield 3, Gears of War 3, Killzone 3, Resistance 3, and an option for others. The results are Killzone 3, 0%, Resistance 3, 0%, Other, 14.29%, Battlefield 3, 14.29%, Gears of War 3, 28.57%, and the winner, Modern Warfare 3 with 42.86%. No, Zalgo Cometh says, Bulletstorm was the most innovative and sadly underrated first-person shooter of 2011. Now, you know, you're probably right. I've heard this before actually. It's a game I've never played, but now I'm thinking I should give it a shot. To participate in our next poll, just visit us at fabricatedprojects.com and vote. Now here's the mail. Here we have one from O'Shane Grinley from somewhere in St. Andrew. Now O'Shane says, guys, can you please show some Modern Warfare 2 quick scopes or some trick shots on the lab, please? It would really make your viewers say wow. And O'Shane also said regarding our Bioshock special, he said, you know, this episode is awesome and all, but you guys really need to up the ante. These games are really old. No offense, by the way. Okay, O'Shane, well, let's talk about your first comment. Now, we could try to do some quick scoping montages in Modern Warfare 2 for your entertainment, but the thing is, we really haven't been playing any Modern Warfare 2 at all. That's just how it is with these Call of Duty games. Each year a new one is released, and the one before gets shelved permanently. Now, maybe we'll hook you up with some shots from Modern Warfare 3. How does that sound? Now, as for your other comment, well, I'll agree that games like X-Men Origins Wolverine is old, but where that is concerned, we don't just review games recently released, we review games of all ages simply because people are still playing them. And as for the Bioshock lineup in that episode, well, you have to understand that the episode is labeled as a Bioshock special, so we had to show every Bioshock from past to future. Thanks for watching though, Shane, and we're not offended. The ante is being upped as we speak. On a lighter note, Are You Deaf from somewhere in Midwestern Southern US says, I'm loving the reviewers and hostesses' accents. The reviews are good too and the hosting was very professional. Nice job all around. And he put a little smiley face. Well, thanks, Are You Deaf? I'm glad you like it and thanks for watching. On the next episode of The Lab, we'll review Spec Ops The Line and Inversion, plus a whole lot more.
A special thanks to Fashion for Life for my wardrobe, Straight Games in the Sovereign Center, and to all our gamers for watching. Until we meet again, you can find us online at fabricatedprojects.com. Email us with any comments at thelabvideogametv@yahoo.com and hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. And remember, our game is never over.